Okay, so let's record. Okay, so would you like us to get started or do you want us to wait a little bit? We can wait as long as you guys want us to.
Maybe give it a couple minutes.
That's absolutely, and we absolutely will.
Do you guys know of anyone else that is coming?
Just us.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
Go ahead and get started.
Okay.
We're recording it anyway, so if somebody
Okay,
wants to see it
okay.
again. Would you ask?
So first of all, I want to say good morning. I want to give you something, okay? Because you're the only one that I didn't give. Wasn't sure, so here you are. This is information we're going to be speaking about today. I would like you to have it at your fingertips. So again, I want to say good morning. My name is Janine Baker, and I am here with my partner in crime, which is Robin Land. We are 2 out of the 5 supervisors from Mahoning County Board of Developmental Disabilities. We oversee what is called the Service and Support Administrators. So I just want to share with you today, and I'll wait until he gets.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I should have waited when you came in.
Oh, no,
So
you're good,
yes.
you're good.
So I just want to say at our place of employment at Mahoning County Board of DD, we use a lot of acronyms, okay? And it can be frustrating for our families. So we call it the alphabet soup. So I am going to be cognizant of the acronyms that I'm using as I'm speaking to you today so that you'll know, okay? So I want to first start off with Mahoning County Board of Developmental Disabilities is where we're from. You will hear us say MCBDD, okay? So that's the first one. And I am going to hope that I'm able to work this. Okay, so in order to understand about our agency, you first need to understand how the county boards work, okay? So we have 88 counties. And each one of those counties is considered as county boards of developmental disabilities. So right here you see CBDD. That's what that stands for, okay? County Board of Developmental Disabilities. In each 88 county that we have, that board is responsible for funding for the developmental disabilities of children or adults, okay? So what does that look like? Where does the funding come from? It comes from local property taxes. It can come from Medicaid, reimbursements, or state funding streams. So that's where the pot of monies come from for the county boards, okay? The county boards, they coordinate services for the funding for our individuals who meet eligibility through their criteria. Now, throughout the presentation, we will talk about what is needed to meet criteria, okay? Mahoning County Board of Developmental Disabilities, MCBDD, provides services for at least 1,500 families, okay, and individuals. Some of them have waivers, some of them do not, okay? So we also do a continuum of services. So I want to make sure that's clear. And in that folder, we're going to talk about that continuum of services. I'll break that down for you as we go along, okay? What are some of the programs that we offer at Mahoning County Board of DD? We have what is called our early intervention. You will hear them say EI. So our EI program, it services our families with infants and toddlers from the age of birth to 3 that have developmental disabilities. We also have our school, which is Leonard Kirk's. You'll hear us say LKS. LKS was established, it tells you, in 1968. It has several programs that with academics, functional daily living skills, vocational skills, and it teaches our individuals social interaction for the ages of 6 through 22 with developmental disabilities. We also have what is called our transportation services. This right here provides transportation for our students from their residence to LKS, or at that time when we had a summer camp, it would provide transportation to our summer camp at the school. We have what is called our investigative services. It is also known as our IA department. This unit is responsible. Hello. How are you?
Sorry, I was getting more participants.
How are you?
Hi, sorry we're
No, you
late.
don't
We
have
didn't
to-
know about
you
the
do not
meeting.
have to be sorry. That is okay.
Okay.
And we're happy to see you. I am just gonna be mindful and let you get settled in. Robin's gonna give you some information.
Okay.
And then I'll pick up from
Okay,
there, okay?
thank
Is that
you.
okay? Okay.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you, all of you. Okay, so I'm gonna start from the beginning. So I'm just talking about different services and different entities within Mahoney County Board of Development on Disabilities. So right now, we're talking about the investigative services that we offer, which is our IA department. And it gives a breakdown of just different things that they do. So when we're talking about the IA department, it's the investigative service unit at our agency, which we talk about as Mahoney County Board of DD. Their responsibility is looking at what we call major unusual incidents. So that is the MUIs. And before you came, I talked about us using a lot of acronyms. We use a lot of acronyms and I want to be cognizant of that. So that's why I'm breaking it down. So major unusual incidents stands for MUIs, okay? And these are such as allegations of what we call abuse, neglect, exploitation, when we become aware of them. So in other words, when we have a situation, and I'm just going to use a day program as an example. So our day programs are like Purple Cat, Turning Point Eye. Okay, say something happened. One of our individuals was leaving the day program and they were headed home. The bus was in an accident. Okay, it is the responsibility of either the provider, whomever, to call into what we call Town Hall 2. It used to be called Help Network, but now it's Town Hall 2 to report that. That information will go to our investigative agents, and that is where they will do what is called an investigation to determine if it's a major, unusual incident or is this an unusual incident, which is not called a UI. So that's where they determine, and that's how they, we keep a track of our incidents so that we can be mindful because we are mandated reporters. Okay? So we also have what is called the Provider Relations Department. That department works with more than 500 agencies and independent providers in the effort to ensure that our individuals are receiving the highest level of care. They conduct provider compliance reviews, nursing reviews, and they do CPR trainings. So to break that down, what happens with that is say one of you guys at this table decides you want to be an independent provider for whatever reason. You want to either take care of a relative to help a family member. You would make contact with Tony Rinaldi, who is the Director of Provider Compliance, and he will guide you, both him and Diane Yoswick, of what is needed through the state to become an independent provider, okay? They also, again, they do the CPR trainings. They ensure that at our agency, we are meeting compliance. So it's very important, and I'll get a little more into detail of some of the things that they do a little bit later, okay? If for any reason you have any questions, please don't hesitate to stop me. Now, what are some of these other programs? Now, in your folders, the folders that everyone got, that I gave you, there's this information here. This is both Robin and I and the Service and Support Administrators, the SSAs. We belong to the program called Community Services, okay, within the Mahoney County Board of DD entity. So this folder right here gives you, I love this folder, it gives you a little breakdown of all the different services that we offer, which are also located up here. So our individuals can go through what is called career navigation. I'm going to stand over here. We have self-advocacy programs. We do like The Voice and just different things to progress or have, so our individuals can have social time so they can learn how to advocate for themselves. We do an amazing SIP shop. And that is where we have kids, they get together. We do a lot of different community events with them. We talk to them because a lot of times it's hard when you have a sibling that may have a developmental disability and the kids are younger and they don't understand. Because for the kids, they think that parents are paying way more attention to the child that has a disability because in a child's mind, again, they don't understand. So this SIP shop kind of bridges that gap to help them to understand. We have disability awareness programs. We go out into the schools and we speak to the kids to get them prepared when there is a child that's in the classroom that may be a little different than them, to explain to them to alleviate bullying. We have remote supports and assistive technology. We have an outstanding, I'm a little biased, an outstanding tech house that I would highly encourage families to take a tour to see the different things that we have in our tech house. We offer what is called a family information series. And that series is kind of like how we're gathered here at the table to give you information that may be lacking, that you may not have known, that's out there in the community. Because how many times have we heard, or you can sit there and say you didn't know, nobody told you. And now we're years down the line. We want to keep you as well informed as can be. School engagement. This is where some of the service and support administrators will go out in the community. Go out into the schools and speak to the kids again and work with them. And the school engagement, they actually work with our individuals that have disabilities to teach them how to advocate for themselves. Community outreach is anything in the community that we do. We do reverse parades. We do all types of stuff. I know you know some of the programs that
Veterans, we support the veterans. In March, we have a luncheon for them. Our individuals will come and help feed the veterans. We make table dressings so that it's nice and pretty.
Absolutely.
Amongst other things, we have a website, and some of the events that we put on for our individuals and families are listed on there. So always try to look at the website, look at our Facebook page. We got some fun things. I think a hockey game is coming up.
Absolutely. And we would love to have
Yeah.
our individuals and families to attend. Sometimes you just need that to be able to get out. I am going to tell you these lift up. It gives you a short synopsis of each little area and a telephone number to make contact if you're interested in any type of programming. Now, since you heard me talk about community services, this is where both Robin and we both work in the community service department. I had said earlier, we are 2 of 5 supervisors that supervise what we call, you see, Service and Support Administrator, SSAs. You'll hear me say that moving forward. So we have 45 SSAs that we oversee. What is an SSA? What do they do? So I always say, I'm glad you asked. So glad you asked. So the SSAs, Service and Support Administrators, are the first point of contact. Their job is to coordinate services. Their job is to facilitate the team, okay? I'm going to try to stay to here because I'm looking over here, and because I used to be, both Robin and I were SSAs. So I kind of know that part like the back of my hand. Our responsibility is to, with the team, to be person-centered, we are to develop the service plan. So you will hear us say the Ohio Individual Service Plan. I know when you're dealing with schools, in the schools, you guys have IEPs, okay? It is kind of almost like an IEP.
It's similar.
It can be similar to that, but it is when they move into, well, I can't even say move into adulthood because sometimes the kids have them, so which is very rare.
Anybody on a waiver needs an SSA because they facilitate the services, they write the plan, they coordinate with the team what is needed to support the individual.
At all times, the Service and Support Administrator's job is to advocate and teach self-advocacy on behalf of the individual. So we always want to be person-centered. So what does that mean, being person-centered? We always want to make sure, as we're looking at this table, that just imagine that person being right in the center of the table. So your children, as they're transitioning, and we'll talk about that into adulthood, at the center, not about what we really want for them, not about it's about what we see, like their needs. What do they want to do? Because that's very important. That's what we talk about when we look at person-centered. SSA's jobs are to monitor different things. So we need to go out and we're monitoring the services that are being provided for the individual and making sure if they're going to day program, say they're going to Purple Cat, and say you as parents and the team has decided that one of the things you want them to do is have social skills. Well, we need to be out there making sure, is little Johnny or is little Bella getting everything that they need? Because it may be when we get out there, they don't like being there. And every time they go there, they're having a behavior. Now, that's not to say that we understand there's a transition period. We understand that our individuals have a hard time sometimes with transitioning. So, and I'll talk about that a little later when we start talking about transition planning. So this is where Robin's gonna come in and she's going to explain to you, are you eligible? So what will get you and your family over to our side in community services where you will need us? So I'll let Robin go ahead and take that part.
I'm the supervisor over eligibility. We have two main eligibility SSAs at this time. There are different means to the eligibility process, and depending on what age, there's different criteria. First and foremost is the diagnosis, whether it's a physical or is it intellectual. So once we have that, we from birth to 3, do they have a deficiency in an area, or do they need more help in a certain area? It's just one criteria. But from age 3 to 5, it goes on to another area. Age 6 to 15, they have to have three substantial functional limitations. At age 16, we do the COEDI, and then it's still 3, but it's out of 7 domains that they need to have a significant functional limitation. So generally, the COEDI is done at 6, and the OEDI is at 16.
Okay, and then before I go to the next slide, because we're partners in crime, and it's
Yes.
almost like when you're team players, you throw the ball, she catches it, and then I'll pick it back up. So this is where I'm going to say, definitely Robin is the person who oversees, but so that you can understand, because I think sometimes we know our jobs and we talk way over everybody's head. So I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit, and I'm gonna say, an assessment has to be done. So you come in almost like how you're going into a doctor and you're getting an MRI, and you get that MRI to see what's going on with your body, to see if we have something going on. So think of it like that. The individual needs to come in, or we come out, because we're person-centered, we're coming out, unless you tell us you want to come to our agency. So we're going to assess whatever needs. So whatever is needed. So there is an instrument that is used, a tool that we use on paper that is governed by the state, that we have to make sure that these areas, and I have to
the next screen will show
Yes.
The different areas that we test in. We call them domains.
Which is there.
Right. Okay. So, there's mobility, self-care, self-direction, capacity for independent living, learning, and receptive expressive language. The difference between the COEDI, remember that's starting at 6, and the OEDI, which starts at 16. So, they could have 2 different assessments throughout their life. The difference is the economic self-sufficiency area for those at 16 and up. We get referrals from different agencies, from families. All you have to do is call in. Generally, the person you're going to talk to first is Karen Fitzgerald. She's an amazing assistant. She will get your information. She will send out a release of information so that she can contact whether it's a doctor, psychologist that's been working with your individual, and then she'll send also a list of documents that she'll need. Once she has all those documents, it comes to me, and we assign one of our SSA specialists to come out and do the assessment. I think Janine mentioned that we either come to the house or you can have it at the office, wherever is most comfortable for you and your individual.
Okay, so this is where I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to go to what is called transition planning. But before I get there, I must say to you as parents, I know both Robin and I are parents as well, and we all know it's hard being a parent, Okay, first of all, they don't come with handbooks, and times we don't know what to do. But when you throw on the fact of a child that has a disability, it is even more so difficult. So I first want to say kudos to the parents because it has to be exhausting. There's time after time I have gone out to meet with my families and they are tired. And when I sat at the table as a transition SSA, a lot of times our parents were very resistant to this process. So I just want to explain to you, and I want to tell you it's okay to have anxiety. It's okay to be anxious. Because during what this process is just what it says, it's transition planning. So it's planning to transition your child from where they are now, high school, into adulthood. And any parent would feel some kind of way about that. So I just want to tell you it's okay. But it's something that we have to do. We want to be planful. You don't want to wait until the last minute. It's almost like I always say baking a cake. There's things that you have to get to do there. So it's the same, even though I know this is not a cake, but it's the same. We have to prepare. So it needs to start early. It needs to start with your team. So typically when I would sit at the table, it would start with, I would be in an IEP and they would have like the teachers there and whomever else was part of that process. Some schools have a transition planning coordinator who will ask a series of questions and will talk about the goals and the expectations of where the team, and whoever the parent or guardian sees that child, Bella or little Jamie, move into. So this is a very important process. So I always talk about when we look at transition planning, what are we planning for? We are planning for possible day programming, possibly working in the community, possible residential placement, because we have some families that maybe they just can't do it anymore. We have an aging population. I mean, it could just be anything. We may have had a parent who have passed away. We may have a parent that is sick. So now they're thinking about residential placement. And what does that look like? That could be a congregate setting. And for some who may not know, some people will call them group homes, where they're living in the house with other people. So, and that's okay if that is what is needed. Respite services. It may be a situation where little Johnny or little Bella, they have other siblings, they're hitting the siblings. I mean, a lot of different things could be going on. And you need a break. And you're entitled to that. So you need respite services. You may need somebody, that could mean somebody can come into the house and offer you that, or they can go out of the house. Okay. So homemaker personal care options. This is a situation after, and I'll talk about after, because there's money's tied to everything. So I want to be clear about that.
And the acronym for that is HPC.
Yes. And the acronym for homemaker personal care, you'll hear us say HPC. That can look a lot of different ways. That could be somebody coming into the home to assist you with little Johnny. Maybe you're trying to get, I don't know, you just had surgery, not feeling well, whatever it may be, and you need help just so you can have a break. Somebody's coming in, helping them brush their teeth, wash clothes, whatever it may be, taking them out into the community to do shopping, to teach them how to count money, the concept of money, whatever that may look like after the need has been assessed and it has been determined. So I want to be clear about that.
And an SSA can help coordinate those for you.
Okay, so this next one is Robin, because this is one of Robin's specialties.
There are, I don't know if you've ever heard of waivers, but they're based on need. We have what's called a wait list assessment, and that assessment will say whether it's an urgent need, got to have one within a very short period of time, to a current need, and maybe right now you don't need anything particularly now, or that it's being handled through community resources, which SSA could talk to the team about. But based on that waitlist assessment, we get the different, you can get assigned a waiver. There are different types of waivers, and those are based on need as well. We have the individual options waiver, which is also, if you heard, IO waiver. It's a comprehensive waiver that allows people to live in the community setting. So generally, if an individual needs placement into, whether you call it a congregate site, you could hear the name supported living home, or a group home. But those are just homes, just like, anyone would have in the community. They're in residential sites. We have individuals in apartments, but we try to figure out what's best for that person. And generally, when there is placement, the IA waiver helps fund for the staffing. And different people need different levels of staffing, whether 24-hour services are needed, or just drop-in. Say they need help with meds, or cooking a meal. You can have someone come in and help with those. Then there's the level 1 waiver. Generally, those are used for individuals who need to get out in the community, that learn social skills, and the SSA can coordinate those services. Self waiver is more of the individual directs how they want those money spent. Those individuals have more of they're the forefront. I mean, we always have the person's needs and a bit at the forefront. You heard Jenny mentioned, teaching the self-advocacy skills. These individuals would be doing more of the self-advocacy.
It's definitely self-driven.
Yeah, definitely
they drive
self-driven.
everything basically on their plan. Not saying that our other individuals, like for these waivers, sometimes we have individuals that have guardians. So, even though it's a team process and we always want to be person-centered, when the guardian makes the decision, it's ultimately up to the guardian, okay? Now, we as SSA, Service and Support Administrators, will always advocate.
Guide the process.
And guide the process. But if the guardian says that there's something that they want in part, that is something that we typically have to follow, okay? I just want to be clear with that. And with those self waivers, they drive their own plan and how that needs to look for them.
So MCBDD does this, or do you guys send us somewhere else to get the help and the?
No, we assist in all of this. Once you get a waiver, say the need is met, and the waiver is allocated, and you need help with taking care of your person. If you don't know of a provider, and say, hey, I definitely know this provider, I like that provider, I want to go with them. If you don't have that, we have what's called a provider portal. We'll put the individual in the portal. Those providers, whether it's an agency provider or an independent, will respond, say, hey, yeah, I can do that. I can provide the staffing for that. And then we would bring those names to you, and you would interview and decide, okay, I think this one works best for us. And we will coordinate those services through the ISP process.
I think too, thank you, that was very good. I think to answer your question, because I know you came in after, and I know we were right in the middle of everything, and it's almost like a flow. And like I was saying, both Robin and I are so familiar, because this is the little arena we live in, that it is difficult for other people to understand. So I'm going to break it down a little bit, and you can stop me if you think. So say it is one of your children, that is now out of high school, they're graduating.
Mine's 18, so.
Okay, yes.
I talked to Maggie.
Oh, yes.
And I said, what do we need to do? Because he may not be able to go to school anymore until he's 22. They may throw them out at 8, have them stop at 18. So, and I don't know, like, he has real anxiety every day. We just pray every morning because he refuses to come to school. So it's a battle for us every day to get him here. But most of the days we do get him here. But so I was telling her, I don't know about a day program. I don't know if that's going to overwhelm him. So I don't know what would happen, or so we're kind of I'm kind of at a loss,
Well,
I
we're
don't know
at-
what to do.
Good time right now because we have all kinds of different day programs. There are all different ones will focus on different things. You have ones that are really focused on work skills and building those skills so that that person could be successful out in the community, whether it's a part-time job or, 1 to 2 hours or, a more, 20-hour work week. It all depends on the person. But so there's those, but there's also ones that focus on, habilitation and socialization. Some are bigger, some are small. There are so many choices these days.
So my son is nonverbal, so that limits him.
Exactly.
That limits him to.
So one of the things that, and I'm not part of your team, I want to just put that disclaimer out there. I don't know all of the information, but if I was part of the team, one of the things that I would try to recommend is maybe, because having anxiety is a lot. We experienced some as we were coming, right? So we know how that can be, and to throw a disability on there, that has to be tough. So maybe, I don't know, talking to Maggie, because Maggie does a wonderful job,
She does.
to see if maybe you guys can go out and do a tour of a day program and see if he's willing, I don't know, to come. Looking more at smaller environments. Sometimes some of these day programs will do trial runs. Sometimes, it's not something we always encourage, because I'm going to say this loud and clear. There's monies that needs to be tied to. So sometimes you will have some that'll just test it out. But usually with something like that, because it's a huge transition, it has to be. Coming from high school, you're used to coming, and I heard you say that he doesn't even want to come sometimes, to trying to get him to transition over. Those are just some of the things you can think about to see. Maybe you can go out and look with Maggie at some day programs and say, okay, maybe get him to go out with you and see if he'll try.
There's times he won't sleep at night stressing about school the next day. He will not sleep.
He'll wake us up every hour and to tell us, he shakes our head, no, done, home. He don't speak, but he tells us we have to say no, done.
Has he always been here?
No, this first year.
Was it like this when he was at his?
We came from Pennsylvania, and in Pennsylvania, they put him in a school that didn't have just autistic kids. It had MRs
pretty
and
rough.
everything. And he feared school. He was.
Yeah, he hated it. It was a bad
I
experience.
was gonna say, it sounds like.
But he went to Mohawk for most of his life and it was great.
Okay.
And then we moved and so.
Okay.
But here, I love it here. I think they take really good care of him.
Mhm.
Ohio is the only
It's
state
just-
that has kind of our setup with the county boards and whatnot. I got to say we're one of the better states as far as services.
Yeah, they do really good with him. And, once he gets here, like yesterday, I sent him and I said, it's a rough morning. He already self-harmed. And then someone else warned the teacher and the teacher sends me a picture. We're here. He's all smiles. So once he gets here, he's okay. But just to get him here.
It's probably feeling safe. I don't know.
Yeah.
When you go to a place, it's almost like, tasting something. I'm gonna use this as an example. And you take a drink and it doesn't taste good. It's not like you're gonna want to taste that drink, especially if it has a medicine-y taste. You don't want that again. I still can tell you the things that, and I have grown children and grandchildren, things that I do not want to. So whatever may have happened to him, and we know kids are cruel. Kids are very cruel to other kids. So unfortunately, and that's why we try to get out to try to educate kids. So no telling, it could have been the noises. It could have been the hustle and bustle of everything. So I would highly recommend, like if you get out, because it is a little bit different at some of the day programs. They may just have a setting that's this big. Sometimes, once they do the assessment, if that person qualifies for the waiver, they'll do things with what we call like an acuity. It determines the ratio of people, like in the setting, that they can tolerate. And it may be a room like that just only has this amount or smaller. So, and that may be beneficial, but it's almost getting there. It's one of those things that I would have to say, if you can't, you're not going to know until he tries it, and then keeping him kind of consistent with it. And parents, I'm going to tell you, it is okay that if you make a decision, we get to that point and you're looking at a day program or something, it's okay to say that this is after you've given it a chance, because it's different. to say it's not working. This is not working for Johnny. This is not what we want to do. And it's okay to make contact with your SSA and going back to the table and saying, listen, this is not working. You know, I want to see for Johnny or Bella this, and this, you know, and this is the reason why. You know, I have time after time, I have seen parents, and I always like to put myself in all of your positions. You know, we want the best for our kids. It makes us nervous knowing that our kids are leaving from a structured environment like this to go to adulthood. And we're mortified. So sometimes I see a lot of resistance at the table. And again, I'm going to tell you that's okay. But I'm going to encourage that if you can, to try to release some of that because you want them to be the best version of who they can be. Because if not, it's okay to be mother hen or dad. It's okay. But sometimes, and I do this with my son who's an adult, I'm probably still buttoning up his clothes and, you know, he can do it. But that's what we do because we protect our children. And I'm going to say, you know, because if something, God forbid, happens to you, you don't want to leave them in a spot where they can't. And some of our individuals may not be able. But we don't want to make that decision because they will surprise you of the things that they can do.
Absolutely.
You know, I've heard parents time after my Johnny can't do that. They can't. And then I go back to the day program, they're talking to me. Come here, hey. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're talking. You'll be surprised. You don't want to limit them at all. So just keep that in mind. Be mindful of that. Sometimes it's hurtful to let go, but sometimes we need to do that. Okay. So those are my encouraging words. So I want to ask and open up the floor. Do you have any questions? Because at any given time, it's a lot of information. It's
Absolutely.
overwhelming. So there is this here. There's more of a breakdown on here that talks about community services. It goes over what early intervention is more in detail. The PowerPoint only gave a little synopsis, okay? Because sometimes you don't want to give too much information. It becomes overwhelming and people tune out. You know, they click the channel. So the information is here for that. It gives you the numbers, contact numbers on the back. It gives you a website.
And our cards are up there. So feel free to take it, keep it.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, any questions, you know, call up at any time. We'll be more than willing to assist. If your individual's getting closer and closer to graduating, I highly recommend not waiting too long, but to go for the workshops, the day programs. You'll call them both, and do multiple. Just don't do one, do multiple of them because there are a variety, and which is great because everyone's different, and what works for one may not work for the other.
In Pennsylvania, we found that you couldn't go to any of the summer camps and everything because nobody was taking it.
Oh, not true here. Definitely not true. We have a lot of nonverbal individuals. And at the day program, they can work on different ways to communicate.
Okay.
Not an issue. With also, I don't know that we mentioned with one of the other services in with the waiver and with transportation to and from the day programs is included, you know, in the waiver. It's called NMT or non-medical transportation. So that's another resource through the waiver. I believe we have or had in there the FSS, which is another resource that we have.
Let me pick it up. So I just passed out a piece of paper here. And this is one of the other services. So not everybody that we service have waivers because I want to be clear. The waivers are the last payer of resort, okay? So that means we are going to exhaust all means first. Community services, anything that we can prior to putting an individual on a waiver, okay? So I want to be honest because it is based by the need. So what does that mean? That means that if you call the agency and says, okay, my son just got a job, he's working at Sparkles and he needs transportation. So I want to get, my neighbor told me that I can get a waiver for transportation. So I want to be the first to tell you that that is not how waivers work. Because it is, again, I'm gonna wear it out based on the need. Okay, now what we can do for you or help you, assist you with is locating the best that we can transportation. So we have WRTA, sometimes through Medicaid, there is a program that you can use. We're gonna look at all of that stuff first. This is typically different for when you're talking about a waiver. Now, what I passed out is what is called our family support services. We call it FSS. We have, if they're eligible, when you call in and they've been made eligible, there is monies, $1,000 that you can utilize, okay, through this service. Okay, once again, they have to qualify. They have to be in the system, $1,000, and these are the items that are listed that you can get for your child, okay? Now, it is also on our website. I'm sure it's located on our website. And at the bottom of the page, I want you, because sometimes we struggle with the fine print, because I'm one of them.
Yes.
So one of the things I want you to see is that there's certain things that may require a physician or a therapist recommendation, okay? And if this is needed, I'm gonna encourage that you take advantage of it. It's there for you, okay? But it's just knowing the information, so you have that. And if ever you can't remember, please contact us and somebody will guide you along the way to get you where you need to be.
And it is great, like, we were spending about $200 a month just on Pediasure, because our son stops eating. So he was on Pediasure and this protein. And I had let Maggie know, and she found somebody
Yes.
that provides me now with Pediasure and protein, and I don't have to pay for it. It's huge savings,
Yes.
huge savings.
Yes, it is.
So it was great, yeah.
That is awesome.
I highly recommend a tour of our tech house. You would be amazed of what's out there. They'll take you through and show you the different equipments. I'm not a tech savvy person, but when I toured it, and it's increased since then, I was just amazed at all the things that they're out there to help our individuals be more successful on their own, or gain independence. Your mind will be blown, I'm sure. And FSS would help fund some of those things.
Do we have any more questions?
At the end of life, like attorneys or
Jessica Lawrence is saying she
Setting
got
up
Ah,
I
yes,
did
she
that
was.
last week. Yeah,
They're
they're fabulous.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's been very
yes,
helpful. We started early, looking before he was 3, so.
absolutely.
We have specialty SSAs right now. We have the youth, we have the transition, and that's those, getting closer to graduation and helping during that process. And then we have our adult SSAs, and that was where I come from. I mostly had the adults, but we try to help through the lifespan.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you have a child SSA, which is Jessica Lazanich. You have Maggie Coleman, which is a transition SSA. And the reason why you do have her is because I heard you say his age. He's transitioning, and that's where they, like Maggie and Ashley Carochi, come into part. Because once they turn a certain age, in our agency, we like to transfer them over to the next unit. So they would leave your child is boy or girl?
I'm a boy, he's 8.
Okay.
9, he's 9.
So when that child turns, I don't know if they do it, I think it's 13, it will come right on over to Maggie or Ashley's caseload, and they start that transition planning that we talk about, okay? To get them
Phenomenal.
progressing towards adulthood and to see what that looks like, to make that transition a little bit easier. And start
And it's
talking.
scary,
It-
it's
There we
very
go.
scary. Our
Absolutely.
boy is very sheltered. We got him when he was 3, we adopted him. So, all of our kids are in their 40s, so now we got a baby again, and he's very sheltered and baby, which I know is really bad. We,
a lot of
we
things
could do better.
I'm not gonna say that. And
We could
brace
do
yourself.
better. We
Brace
love him.
yourself.
We love him
Absolutely.
so much that we just cater to him, and he's like our he's
Right.
same age as our grandchildren, so we're in grandparent mode, and it's
Mhm.
and I've always been one of the mothers that do everything, so the other day it was pretty cool because I said, he made me mad. So I said, you know what? You're doing chores today. So I went and put all his underwear in the dryer and I said,
Mhm.
go get your clothes out of the dryer. Now this is the first time ever he had to do a chore. I said, go get your underwear out. And I made him bring them up. I made him fold them and put them away. And then he was getting ready to take the trash and he's worse than I am. I said, let him take the trash. And it was really hard, but he grabbed the trash, took it out, and it just happened to be garbage day. I said, take it to the curb. And our son seems so proud.
But
Yes.
that
He
is
seems
where
so-
we're going with this.
He
And-
seems so proud of himself. And we were
Yeah.
like,
Sure.
and we've been not giving him none of this. And I think
Exactly.
we've been holding him back a lot.
Yes, and you heard
know?
me say that. And it's not purposeful. It's not, we want to make sure we keep a safe haven for our children, period. And when you throw a disability on that, we want to protect them from the world. And we think that we're doing. And this is where we sit at the table because it's easier to sit out from this angle to view inside, to see the picture. When you're in it, you're in it. It's different. So that's why I say to you, brace yourself. But I also want you to do more of that, to let go, because they do. And you will watch them grow. It's almost like that flower that's just hanging there.
Yeah.
And then you talk to it every day, and it's just, but the minute you water it, those leaves just come up. So it's the same for them.
Yeah.
You know, we have some that they may not be able to. I don't ever use the word never because I've had some surprise me. And I think I shared that. You know, I've had individuals that are nonverbal and I come in and they've said my name, Janae, Janae. And I look and they stop and then they'll say it again. I'm like, they're saying my name. You're saying my, and then they'll smile. So you'll be surprised. And then I'll have a parent say, they've never talked. And I'm like, watch this, you know, and they'll say it. So it is okay. Now that you know that he can, we need to do more of that because that may help alleviate some of the anxiety that they have. Baby steps, getting them there,
Mhm.
you know, but it
I mean, I
takes a
still
team.
dress him. I put his shoes on him. I put his socks on him.
He can do it himself.
Now, there we go. I was just going to ask the question. There
Yeah,
we
I
go, because
encourage
that's
you
powerful
to let
too.
them do what they
Every
can
day I
and
dress
work on
We
skills.
know that we're a hindrance to him at times.
It's
We
hard.
have other people who even tell us that if I had that kid, he would not be doing that. Like, we know that, but we baby him.
And it's tough.
It is. But I encourage you to
Yeah.
let them learn
Yes.
and grow and
Yes.
develop those
When he
skills.
eats, he makes a mess. So I even bought him a little sweeper, and now he has to clean up his
There
own
we
mess.
go. There we go.
So
Getting
we're
him to
doing-
that point.
We're doing little
We want-
steps to make him
Yes.
better.
You
So
definitely want that.
hopefully, with the help of Maggie and some other people, we could get.
Absolutely.
They could teach us to be more firm.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone, I think, wants a purpose.
Mhm.
You know,
So I just want to closing some of the takeaways. I hope you have gotten what a county board kind of looks like, that there's 88 counties and what a little bit of how the funding works for them. What a waiver is and what it is not. You know, there's 3 of them. We have the IO waiver, the self waiver, and the level 1. We have talked about, I've given you pamphlets on resources and how to get in contact with us. We've talked a little bit about the breakdown of our department. What are the entities that are in our department? And on that little brochure, it gives you the breakdown, so that information is there. We have talked about the MUI process, the waiver process, and we ended with the family support, okay? So that there's monies out there for you as long as your child has had an assessment and they qualify. Take advantage of it. It's there for you. So we want to encourage that, okay? And we have also left you with contact information for us. It is contact information on every last one of those forms that I have given you. So please know that. Put that in a safe place so that you have it. If you forget, then just call our agency, okay? Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it. And if ever you guys want us to come back again, I'm gonna send Marvin.
Thank you.
I don't think that's to make her nervous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We just need one. And you guys can have this, so you can
Thank you
give
so
it to
much
someone else.
for,
We got this one.
for coming
thank you.
today.
Oh,
For those that watch the recording of this, we will have some of these materials in the main office. We also scan some and make them available to you as well. So we do have a little gift for you guys for coming here.
We like things like this. Thank you. Ooh.
Thank you.
I'm like a little kid. I love it. we brought my tea, so we're gonna go drink some tea. And I just want to let you know this is the power color. Red is power. So just thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Any other questions or we can stick around a little bit and
The cup just got me so excited. I'm done. Stick a fork in it. Thank you.
We're gonna let Jen do the parent advisory board update, kind of go a little bit off the agenda.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
When she has to leave at
anytime.
10, and then
Then
my update will be
if we're able.
So Tracy came here, she was asking for some basic updates, kind of deadlines. The dance RSVP went home, should look like this. So it's due April 1st. Well, invitations on there. Just want to send it for Kevin, just to get it right. There's an apparel sale, those went home too, so if you wanted to purchase shirts, those are due Friday. I'll send your money in. And your little order forms. The Easter sale went home too, so we do a, what's the company?
Not one,
G. No, it's. What's the name of the chocolate flavor?
Oh, Gianna's thing.
Gianna's candy corns at home. Those are due March 24th. So any of those that you sell, you get hour splurge for every $10 discount, you get an hour. So that's for the apparel sale and the Easter sale. We are looking for candy donations because we're gonna do an Easter egg hunt. That's
Yeah, we'll be
April
bringing in
15th.
candy.
Cool. I think the candy she wants by the 11th. Then the plan is to stuff all the eggs on the 14th. So if you're around.
Oh, this month.
April 14th, I'm sorry.
Okay, all
Yes,
right.
right. It's April 14th, we'll stop the candies due April 11th, and then April 15th we'll do the egg hunt. I don't know, are we doing it in the other gym?
We're still, we're,
In the-
you know, possibly.
Well, the parents don't come, right?
I don't know if we're gonna have volunteers or not. Oh, actually, I know. I think we will have volunteers again. Okay, I know we definitely have volunteers for the stuffing and for book fair. I'm not sure about the actual hunt.
Yeah, I think Tracy said maybe a couple of volunteers. So.
It's
Yeah.
fun. We did it last year. It was really cute. The kids loved it.
Yeah.
It was- They went, whatever their version of picking up the eggs was. That's
Yeah.
what they did. Yeah. It was fun. Some got a whole bunch, some got a few. It didn't matter, but they were happy.
Yeah.
We're having a book fair March 31st or April 2nd, so Scholastic is coming. It'll be in this room. So it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you can send money in with your student and they can shop. I mean, on Wednesday the 2nd, and they can shop themselves. Also, we'll need parent volunteers for that. So I think she put 2 shifts up for that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. 2 shifts in the morning and 2 shifts in the afternoon. If you want to volunteer, come sell books with us. Whatever money we get from the book sale, we earn credit to get books for the library. So we're trying to make the library a more vibrant place for the students to enjoy and get some new books and new things. With that said, we started an Amazon list for books. So if there's any type of topics that your students like or specific books that they like to read, series or authors, let us know because we're trying to get the community to buy books for the library too. So there'll be a link that you can share on Facebook or with your friends or family if they want to buy books for the library, and then it'll go directly in there for them to read and so yeah, it's exciting. And then I know, so we have volunteer opportunities for the book fair, egg stuffing, maybe the egg hunt, and then the Rock the Rich Center event. There'll be volunteer opportunities for that too. That's May 31st. I think that's all I have. You guys, questions?
No.
Concerns? Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Rachel.
All right, thank you. Again, I'll wrap up with the Rich Center update. We are going to turn it over to Jenna, who is our AHEC Student Healthcare Ambassador. She has a couple updates on a parent panel for an event coming up, as well as a survey that she is doing.
So hi everyone, my name is Jenna Alpa-Haley. I'm a second-year student at YSU, and I'm in a program called AHEC. And AHEC is essentially a pre-health program that exposes pre-health majors to medically underserved communities like the autistic population. And in AHEC, there's a secondary role in AHEC called the Student Healthcare Ambassador of the Rich Center. So I've been actively volunteering here, shadowing different health professionals here, and attending some of these parent meetings to essentially bridge the gap between the Rich Center and Youngstown State students. A lot of people are naive or unaware of autism or just too shy to even go come across it. On a personal note, I have a younger brother who's autistic and nonverbal, and so this role really suits me. It also helps me broaden my perspective of autism. That's not just from what I've seen helping taking care of my brother. So I'm honored to be here with you guys today. Just let you know some of the events that we have coming up. And essentially, this first event is a parent panel. So AHEC is hosting a regional AHEC event hosted here at Youngstown State. And essentially, what it is this panel is an opportunity for Rich Center parents to share their experiences, challenges, and rewards of raising autistic children. The event will begin with a panel of Rich Center staff members first, and essentially they'll just be asked questions about what it's like to educate the autistic population and the challenges and rewards behind that. Then the second half of the event is going to consist of Rich Center parents. Essentially, you'll be asked questions on what it's like to raise an autistic child and the rewards and the challenges that come along with it, and you'll have the opportunity to share that with many AHEC scholars and Youngstown State students. A lot of people aren't aware of what it's like to raise an autistic child behind closed doors, especially. This will educate the Rich Center staff members of what it's like to raise the children at the home, and vice versa. It'll educate you as parents as what it's like to educate an autistic child. So if you would like to be a panelist member, there's a QR code at the bottom. List. I will. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know.
There is a list of questions in advance. So if you are interested in becoming a panelist member, just register with that QR code right there, and I will provide you a list of the questions that me and the previous student healthcare ambassador of the Rich Center have compiled a list of questions that you'll be able to come up with thoughtful answers in advance. And essentially, we'll just be asking you these questions, and you'll be able to share your experiences and insights to many college students and AHEC scholars. Because again, many of them aren't aware of the autistic population. They aren't aware of what it's like to raise an autistic child. So your insight will be very much valuable as students. So if you'd like to participate, it is March 22nd, 10:30 to noon at YSU College Center. More details will be pushed out to you, but if you are interested, there's a QR code, and parents at home too, if you're interested, please feel free to scan that QR code. This packet will be on the Rich Center newsletter. I believe it's on the newsletter. So if you would love to, I would love to have you guys as a panelist member. I know your insights will be, it's extremely valuable. I know a lot of college students are going to be eager to learn more about families that raise an autistic child.
It should be on Class Dojo too. I'm pretty sure I put it up there. Yeah.
I think it is. I think I saw it come through.
Okay. I was gonna say.
So if our kids are with us, how do you feel about that?
That's totally fine too.
That's about as reality as
They
it
will
is.
get good insights.
There we are.
Yeah. And again, I will push out whoever registers. I will push out questions in advance, maybe about a week in advance, so that way you'll have time to thoughtfully prepare your answers to these questions. But again, I know a lot of college students just aren't aware of the autistic population, and a lot of them are just a bit naive or even a bit ignorant about it. So I know your insights will be completely valuable. But yeah, that's our parent panel event. And if you could go to the the at home.
I'll try. Oh, it's kind of in my. Oh. Yeah. There we go.
Perfect. So I'd like for you to participate, if you could, in a short anonymous survey.
There you go, there's a big.
Yeah.
So this QR code here is essentially a survey, and this survey was conducted last year by the previous student healthcare ambassador. And this survey pretty much monitors at-home support strategies for children with autism. We're trying to focus on the at-home school learning gap. Previously, we're just conducting a second round of data, but essentially the main question that we are seeking to answer is, are at-home autism programs effectively addressing children's needs? Whether or not you currently use an at-home program for your child, we still want to hear your experiences as a parent. And essentially, the goal at the end of this is that your responses will help us gain a better understanding of how to improve an at-home support system for your child with autism. And this survey is also being conducted with the Bridge Center staff members as well. And so essentially, we're trying to just increase better education on the at-home versus institutionalized learning gap with our Bridge Center students. So if you could scan that, we're just trying to collect responses and try to gain a second round of collection of data. But thank you very much for letting me speak again. I encourage you to participate in either the panel or the survey or both. I really appreciate it. And again, this is all just for the better of spreading awareness of autism. Thank you.
Are you local? Are you local?
Yes.
I saved the links. I don't know if we can put it on our Facebook page or, on our parent Facebook page. I'll put it to Tracy.
Thank you.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. You can put it in the text.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, no, you're good. The group text we have, the group text, we can get it up with that.
Thank you.
Sure, I got you. We followed you. I followed you. I'm doing your thing. I hope you have a good turnout.
Thank you. Do you have any questions or?
How many students do you think you expect?
About 50
Okay.
students.
That's
Hoping
awesome.
to educate a wide array of them. So a lot of them are just naive about it. But
Yeah. That's great you're doing that. Thank you.
yeah, of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much
Of
for
course.
coming and giving us that update.
Mhm.
I think to go back to the first item on the agenda to kind of wrap this up. So first things first, as far as parent meetings and going into the future, we do now have this setup. This is new compared to probably the last time you were in here. One of the unique benefits that we do have is if there is a speaker that we desperately want to engage with our parents, they don't necessarily have to be here anymore. They could join remotely, and couldn't necessarily see it today because the only person in the conference was us. So it'll be interesting to see what the recording looks like. But I know that camera follows the speaker, so it's probably gonna be a big section in the back of my head on this. I just realized, but I guess for this point, unless they want to hear the updates on the 18 and 21-year-old thing, or
Go for it. I love stuff.
all right. So yes, this gives us options as well as if you can't physically be here, two options. We will be able to record these and send them out via all of our capable messaging ways, as well as my email that gets out every once in a while. And then you could also join remotely. We could start sharing links in advance. So if you can't be here in person but want to participate live, you'd be able to do that from a device or from home or from work or wherever if you have that capability. So that'll allow us to expand some of our opportunities there. I know April is fast approaching, as well as all of the dance and everything. So stay tuned for some of our activities. I know the parents had stressed interest in the Youngstown Clothing Company shirt. Our staff did as well, and they did as well for our concert. So we kind of said we're not going to do 3 shirts. We tried to merge them all into one. So they're working on a kind of an autism awareness theme shirt with the We Rock Together theme. So that would be like, an April theme, but the shirt can obviously transcend past April. The blue shirt, it could be sold at our concert. It won't have the Ford or the Vin Diesel, and won't even have the Ritz Center on it. So it'll be a kind of a broad appeal shirt. Since they designed shirts, we just gave them a little bit of, we kind of like this rock theme, and it'll incorporate everything for us. So with the dance, with possibly painting the rock, I could see a little bit of a music infusion into April with our activities and other things that we do here at the center, and up in leading up to the May concert event. So I do want to thank Jen for sharing all the volunteer opportunities. That's pretty much it for that. You probably do notice a lot more on your way in and out. You hear the beeping on the front door. We switched the crash bars, the interior to the exterior, because that one has a 15-second delay on it. So if there ever was an option, a situation where a child would get to that door, it would sound the alarm. They wouldn't be able to get out for 15 seconds. Obviously, it's synced up with the fire alarm. So when the fire alarm's triggered, all that goes away. So we don't have to sit there and wait for 15 seconds if there really was. Yeah. So that you'll notice it's a little bit different. When you exit, so still the same thing. Don't push the crash bar. We also put similar crash bars. We added them on the second floor. When we took over the second floor, the tenant before us didn't have those in place. We haven't really had much of an issue, but we just felt that we should secure every door in and out of the Ridge Center. So we added them. And then the basement on the exterior, we added a fob system. So when those doors lock, you can't access the basement without a key fob anymore. So what that means is typically the only door that's open during school hours is this one. If for some reason that door was left open or the playground door was left open, there's a door on the other side of the building. If that was left open, there would be the possibility that someone could have entered, let's say that back door, could have walked up the stairs, walked in the door that's at the end of the hallway and been in our school, or walked down into the basement and taken the elevator up. Now anyone from the outside can't access any point of the building. So,
Great.
And then our students can't get out without an alarm sounding in a 15-second delay, which if that would ever happen, that would give typically all of us enough time to say what's going on. So that's an upgrade. There will be probably some renovations in the basement and with the HVAC system coming within the next year. So that is in progress. So that's exciting to kind of expand our reach and do some different things. And I'll keep you posted on that. And then finally, with the state of Ohio, the Ohio Department of Education, sending around the communication about the autism scholarship, possibly ending at the age of 18 for homeschooled individuals, which is our population. It was just a weird thing that they looked into this and decided that it should never have been allowed for those 18 to 21. But it can change with legislative action. So it's definitely not an end. Everyone seems to be on board. Unique thing about it is there's probably 190 students roughly that, according to the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, that this affects in the whole entire state. 11 of them are in our building. So we're really, really heavily involved in the advocacy for this. YSU has kicked in. Their Department of Government Affairs has been active in lobbying for this change. Local state legislator Tex Fisher has written the amendment to the budget that would change the ruling to allow those in the 18 to 21 to remain on the autism scholarship. That is being proposed in the Ohio House. If it's added to that budget, obviously then it has to be approved by the House, stay in the budget that the Senate goes through, and then if the Senate approves it, then sign on by the governor. So it's in the amendment phase right now. So when there will probably be opportunities. I'm looking to try to set up something here, or at least virtually, with at least one or two of our local representatives for parents to kind of be engaged. I will send around another link, at least if you want to participate in any sort of written testimonies. We have a couple parents that have written their own that we'll probably have to submit. There's also a group one that kind of can be written. If you don't want to write your own, you could just say, add our name to that one, and we'll submit that as well. But we feel fairly positive. In the world of government, you never know what can happen. But it's currently being funded. It's not an additional ask. It's a change in the language to allow it to continue to be funding. And with such a small population, we don't see anyone really diving into that and saying, let's cut that out or let's not put it in. So we remain hopeful, but there's a really good cross section of people supporting this, and our local delegation is all aware, all has the language. So we've been doing a pretty good job of getting in front of them, and hopefully have some opportunities for parents as well.
Is that what you were down at the state for?
Partly, yeah. So I also was down there for the autism scholarship in general. So the operating budget is every 2 years. You have autism scholarship as part of the operating budget. So obviously, there's nothing that can say that it has to stay. There's nothing you can say that, you know,
Oh, it has
they
to
can't, that, you know, I mean, Iowa does. It hasn't been, so the governor releases his like preliminary budget, and that, if you take that and run with it, because the state house goes through it and rips it apart, and then they add their stuff, and then the Senate goes in and adds their stuff, and then they negotiate with the governor, and the governor has to sign it. So, but in the governor's budget, he did not, there's obviously no cuts. So I don't foresee, no one is saying that's gonna happen, so that's.
They gave us more last time, didn't they?
No, we were the only scholarship program that didn't, so we didn't get more, I think it was 6 years ago, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, but yeah, so we're due, so, how John Peterson Scholarship, we're kind of work in tandem. We're not a John Peterson Scholarship provider. The John Peterson Scholarship has six categories, so it's not only autism. And the governor's budget recommended funding for each one of those 6 categories. And with the John Peterson Scholarship, there is a base payment, and the base payment does have a cost of living adjustment in it, which is kind of nice. The autism scholarship doesn't have this function. So every category gets the base payment plus the cost of living adjustment every year, and then an additional funding amount based on your category. Well, the autism category is in category 6. The recommended amount based on the base payment plus category 6 adjustment was $37,753. But what exists is an arbitrary cap. So they capped the John Peterson, which at one time was lower than the autism. They eventually matched it to the autism scholarship. So even though they are recommending more funding for this, because that cap is written in there and no one really knows it was at the beginning, it can't go above 32,000, and then they typically match the autism scholarship to that amount. So what we're proposing is to eliminate that cap or raise that cap, which would allow for the funding that has been recommended, which is nice. That helps a lot that they're actually recommending the funding, which would allow, we're hoping to raise the cap to 37. But if it doesn't, at least a little bit, and then match the autism scholarship. So if they do all that for the John Pearson and don't match it for the autism, that was all for not for us, but it's good for our partners that, use the John Peterson. But so that's what the proposal is right now. Remove that cap, increase, which will allow for the increase in category 6, John Peterson, and then to match that same dollar for dollar for the autism scholarship, which should open up some new opportunities for us here. Should that pass? So that's the big ask. Because that's everybody. That's not just us. That affects every autism scholarship provider.
When's that
in the state.
done?
It's the same budget. So I thought they were going to separate out the 18 and 21, but they're doing it in one. Looks like they're just tacking on. So with that being said, because of this process, because the governor typically signs this budget in a good year, June 30th, most likely, possibly early July, that leaves a lot of uncertainty around here. We've decided to, even if at some point the 18 to 21 does go away, we're extending it for a year and we're going to figure it out. So that means on July 1, if this is not yet figured out, we're not telling the 18 to 21 population that you got to figure something else out. You're going to remain with us as long as you want. If it does in fact go away, we have a year to kind of figure out the next game plan for everyone involved.
Oh, so they'll get to come next year for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna do that on our. That's my job to figure out. Hopefully, I don't have to worry about on that.
Okay, thank you.
But if we do, then that's the, just to make this change, because it was dropped on us, and because the process, I mean, it's harder, you know, on us planning wise, I mean, feel very confident it's gonna happen, but, you know, we can't say it with 100% confidence until the governor signs it, which could be past our, you know, so we don't know if we should look for new students or we should, so I think let's keep our base and then figure it out as we go along. If the 18 to 21 does need to transition out, we have a little bit more time, another year to do that.
Great.
Does anyone have any questions for me?
One thing I was just gonna add is we're gonna try to do, lessons of some sort in the library. So it might be story time, it might be just having someone come in and read books, so hopefully that will happen once a month, maybe twice a month. So there'll be volunteer opportunities for parents to come in and do that with the students too. And the bulletin board, which is not difficult, it just takes time to change it out. So maybe once a month somebody coming in to do that, so you'll see those come up too.
That's it. All right. I'll be curious to see what this recording looks like.
How long you been there?
This is my third year.
Oh, you?
Yeah.